Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. As promised, here is a new video in my series here. This one based again on your suggestions. The first one of hopefully 5 that I'll have up here within the week or so. And I mentioned 5 because again, it all depends on the interest, I guess, associated with the suggestions. I always try to pick, and this formula has worked ever since it started, I always try to pick the best cryptids that I feel you all will be most interested in. And if I find 5 that I feel, again, that you as an audience would definitely find it to be the the kind of cryptids that everybody hasn't either heard of or would like to hear of, the kind of stuff that we all enjoy when it comes to cryptids, then I'll post them on here. And that's the whole point again of this video series, is to ensure that the most original, the most fascinating, the most intriguing cryptids are out there, are placed up, so that way everybody can see. So the reason I picked this particular cryptid is because this cryptid instantly reminded me of something that was just shown within the Godzilla 2014 film, and I'm talking of course about the flying Mutos. And the cryptid in this one, called the Ropen, is something that shares, albeit loosely, some characteristics associated with the Muto, but I wanted to pick it essentially as an homage to the flying Muto within the Godzilla 2014 film. Now, I haven't heard of the Ropen itself. I've heard of the idea that there are ancient dinosaurs still living within this world, including some pterosaurs out there. And with regards to this particular cryptid, I have not heard of it before because it's more in detail. It's about a particular pterosaur rather than the notion that there are several pterosaurs out there. But this one, I was surprised to find out apparently that this is and remains perhaps one of the best living examples of a dinosaur that's out there within the world. And it has to do with the fact that there are so many witnesses associated with this pterosaur, and I'll include a link for it here, video footage of apparently the pterosaur in action. So what is a Ropen? A Ropen is again a pterosaur that is the size generally varies. It can be just larger than a human, but it's also been described as being upwards of 30 feet. Again, not quite Muto size, but then again, what else is within this world on there? And with regards to the Ropen, basically just take your average pterosaur, average pterodactyl, and it is exactly that. The key characteristics, though, associated with this particular cryptid is that it has a tail with a club-like ending. Not necessarily a club-like, but at least a tail that does not end like on a pointy end, but instead has a mass, a bundle of mass essentially at the end of its tail, probably as a counterbalance of some sort. And this tail usually makes up about 50% of its body, so a very good long length associated with it, far longer than, say, anything that's currently out there that's flying in the world. And the other very key characteristic with this cryptid, and this is by far the coolest thing on there, and again why I picked it, because of its association with the Muto, it creates its own form of bioluminescence. So it creates its own light, in other words. And just like the flying Muto, you have where the Muto can create its own form of electric pulse, in this case the EMP that it used within the Godzilla 2014 film. This cryptid creates its own light, not a pulse of some sort, but it creates its own bioluminescence light, which you'll see like an example of here. When it comes to the animal kingdom world, it's a very cool feature that animals have developed out there, primarily though within the oceans. And the reason for it is, here you have some animals where they attract other animals that they want to eat by creating their own light, and this casually ensures that its prey comes and inspects the lights, and just when the prey gets close enough, bam, it's dinner at that point. So the same concept applies to this particular cryptid, the Ropen, where apparently it creates its own lights, and in this case it's pulsating lights, and it does this because apparently it has bats as some of its biggest source of food flying through the air. These bats, they have some eyesight, not necessarily the best eyesight, but they apparently create these lights, these pulsating lights that Ropens do, to attract these bats, and then out of nowhere, once the bats get close enough, again, they are food. And then also it creates these pulsating lights whenever it's hunting over the lake, trying to create enough of a light source so that the fish come up towards the sea level itself, and then that's when the Ropen has a buffet right then and there. So now with regards to these pulsating lights, I've included a link directly below from YouTube. It's for a video called The Pterosaurs of Yakima Forest, Mount Adams, Washington, and Lake Erie, and check it out when you have a chance, because for several scenes, several minutes actually within the video itself, there is actual recorded footage of what is one of these pterosaurs, in this case the Ropen, and it's their pulsating lights in action. And this is footage that again was captured and has been analyzed, and has apparently been proven to not be anything else that we would normally think of. In other words, it's not car lights, it's not anything associated with anything man-made, like far off buildings with the lights on, or it's not reflections from the moon, or reflections from the sun, or reflections from the stars. It's not anything that, again, normally one would try to disassociate with regards to a light source. Instead, this is something was captured on film that created, and you'll see pictures of it. The stuff you're looking at now, I know it's kind of hard to discern something like this pulsating when it's just a still image, but again, check out the link below when you have a chance, and that way you'll see the pulsating lights in action. But this is something that was created its own light source, and it was using this light source at night. That's the key feature again of the Ropen, is the fact that it's hunting primarily at night, it lives primarily at night, it sleeps during the day, completely during the day, and it only hunts at night. It's completely nocturnal. And then we have video footage of it in action, apparently either sitting still somewhere, because the way the footage was shot, it's not like Cloverfield like, where it's shaky cam zooming in and out like the cameraman is trying to keep track of the light source. No, it looks like this particular Ropen was just sitting and pulsating the light, and that way it would attract the food. In this case, it could be fish, or it could be bats coming towards it, and again, once that happens, then it takes action at that point. And then also, the reason why I picked the Ropen too is not only again did we have video footage, but we also have several eyewitnesses, credible eyewitnesses to these lights in action, and one of them is actually a gentleman by the name of Paul Nation, which you'll see a picture of here. He traveled to Papua New Guinea, which seems to be the headquarters for the Ropen, and he's the one that videotaped also these two lights near, it looks like a ridge above Tawa, which was a remote village on the mainland there. And again, that he purposely tried to make sure that this was not anything that would discredit these lights right away. Like, it wasn't airplanes, and again, it wasn't anything related to headlights from a car, and it wasn't any other type of creature. Instead, what he videotaped on here was essentially the Ropen itself, and he's actually what's called a pterosaur hunter. He is somebody who has dedicated his life to try to ensure that living proof is found of this, and I think it was him that shot that video, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been someone else on there, but this video that he shot was analyzed by several people, the people that are in an area where they can try to discredit anything associated with tampering on the video on there. I mean, I'm talking about people that, let's say, work usually in the fields of audio and visual, and then others that work in fields associated with engineering, those that try to, I guess, have experience and know exactly what to do in situations like this when they see such videos on there. But no, they weren't able to do anything on there. Even Monster Quest, the good show that's on there, did an expedition on this as well. Unfortunately, they did not find any evidence of the creature during their particular episode. They didn't have anything as far as any kind of video like the one shot by Paul Nation, but at least they did have his video again analyzed, and their own analyst stated that this video again ruled out everything associated with vehicles, everything associated with stuff that would normally discredit it. They even considered what was campfires in and around the area. You know, the notion that maybe this was some far away campfire that somebody had lit, and that's why it was showing up the way it showed on there. But no, everything was discredited on there, and the analysts could not conclude what that was causing it on there. So the Ropen itself is again hasn't been, you'll see some pictures of it here during the daylight, and the reason for it essentially being caught during the daylight is because some people believe that the Ropen is a common misconception. It could be actually a different type of bird associated within and around the area, and that's why whenever people get so excited and they take a picture of the bird, in this case it's called a frigate bird, which you'll see a picture of here, the way this bird moves in action and the way the bird flies, especially from far away, you can kind of see, I mean, here's an example of a pair of them from far away. One can think that, yeah, you know, this is it, this is the Ropen, because again, there's the idea that if you're in and around this area where the Ropen is famous to supposedly quote-unquote live, and you have these creatures that certainly live in the area called the frigate bird and look like the Ropen, at least from far away, one could think, you know, that yes, this is the real deal, when in fact it's not. So again, that's why a lot of the stuff associated with the Ropen people discredit of, especially the daytime shots, because they all think that it's really having to do with these particular birds associated in and around the area. But one cannot discredit that now really cool pulsating light shots that are associated in and around the areas I was talking about out there. It's very, very creepy, very eerie to think that there's a creature out there that has this ability to essentially create light from within its own source and use it as a way to try to catch prey. I mean, one could easily think that something like this, and it's a long shot, but it could happen because the Ropen is not necessarily known for feeding on humans, but one could easily think that if somebody sees this light source from far away in the forest, it's dark, it's night, the person is either by themselves or with a companion, and then they see these pulsating lights, the natural instinction is to try to get close to the light source to try to see what that is. I mean, we're all human, we're all curious when it comes to something like that. And then once we see that light, and it's eerily beautiful in some cases, and then we realize that it's coming actually from a living creature, by that point it's too little too late. So pretty creepy stuff on there. But at least with the Ropen, does anyone else, you know, have any experience associated with this creature? Has anyone heard any stories associated with it? Anybody that's actually seen it, perhaps, or knows friends or family members or coworkers or anybody else that has as well? Very, very cool stuff with regards to this Ropen. I was surprised again, and the reason I picked it was it apparently has so many eyewitnesses, and then we have the video footage of it. And then we have the idea that this particular cryptid and the way it hunts, you know, it's something that is quite cool to see in action on there. So if anybody has any experience on there, please post your comment, share your thoughts below. And again, as a little tribute to the flying Muto within the Godzilla 2014 film, that's one of the big reasons again why I picked it here. So alright, thanks again everybody, take care.